I'm joined now by Dr. Peter Boylan, consultant obstetrician and former master of the National Maternity Hospital, and by Caroline Simons, legal advisor to the Pro-Life campaign. Peter Boylan, if I could turn to you first. I believe you're the incoming chair of the Institute
That's right,
of Obstetricians, so presumably you'll be getting communication from the Chief Medical Officer about this. But is this a problem? Have you come across this problem as well in your own work?
It is a problem, yes, and the real difficulty are patient safety concerns, and it's not a good idea in general in medical practice to commence a procedure in one country and then try and finish it in another country which is only accessible by air or by ferry. And both of those modes of transport, of course, are subject to problems with weather and disruption. So it's really a concern about the safety of the mother in these circumstances.
And why, in your experience, if you have experienced this problem, why would people choose to do it this particular way?
Well, for a variety of reasons. One is that, well, first of all, it's not available in this country because it's illegal, although they are protected by the Constitution to go to the UK and have the procedure done. Partly it's due to cost, and partly it's due to lack of availability of services in the UK because they are inundated themselves and they just don't have the room. Now, they do say that they never turned anybody away, but they will put people on a waiting list, which is slightly different from what people expect. OK, Caroline Simons, legal advisor, said to the Pro-Life campaign. Obviously, there are couples who feel that the best thing in this situation is to carry the baby to term. And clearly, equally, there are people who take a different view. Quite apart from the added trauma of having to travel abroad, they're facing, it would appear, serious risks to their health.
Well, the first thing I'd like to say, David, is that this is the 6th programme that Primetime has done on this issue. And indeed, before the legislation providing for abortion in the cases of suicidal ideation was passed, Primetime was already dealing with this issue, even though this is not a complication of a pregnancy that affects a mother's health or her life. And I would have to say that in 5 out of 6 of those programmes, one couldn't say that there was a balance. The programme led off, as it has done tonight, with a certain slant in relation to the issue that doesn't actually tell the whole story. And the thing that I'm anxious about in relation to this is we're not looking at, you talk about fatal fetal abnormality. It's more usually, I think, in the medical literature and the scientific literature called lethal malformations. And as Peter will know, I was on a programme on another channel with him recently, no doctor can say with certainty that any particular malformation in a fetus is going to be incompatible with their being born or with their surviving a certain period after birth. And the difficulty with that, well, I mean, I brought the stuff for you tonight, Peter.
Okay,
and
the
difficulty with that, and the literature shows it, is that you're actually looking once more at a situation where there is an effort now to extend abortion. We've already brought it in on a basis of suicidal ideation, a basis for which there's absolutely not a shred of psychiatric medical
justification.
Of the
Constitution.
Well,
the way the courts have interpreted the Constitution.
That's correct, but we have psychiatrists certifying women suicidal for abortion in circumstances where they say themselves that it's not a treatment.
Could we keep to the issue, if you don't mind?
In relation to this issue, we're dealing with a situation, David, where there is a malformation which is described as lethal, a description about which in medicine there is no agreement.
OK, well, can I just bring the doctor in here?
Yes,
is that the case, Dr. Boylan?
No, that's incorrect. Some babies have, their brain doesn't develop and they will die inevitably within a few minutes of birth, generally speaking. Babies whose kidneys don't develop are incapable of surviving after birth. A baby in the womb is equivalent to somebody in an intensive care unit. They're getting dialysis for their kidneys because the fetal kidneys don't work. The placenta does that. The lungs are not working. The placenta does that. Now, if we have somebody in an intensive care unit, an adult or a child, who is going to die when the machine is turned off, the ventilator is turned off, being in the womb in a condition where you're going to die once you're removed from that environment is very similar to somebody in an intensive care unit. Now, the compassionate approach is to discuss the issue and the future with the parents and with the family involved. And very often the decision is made to offer hospice care, which it does exist in Irish hospitals. It's just not called it, but it does exist. We offer full compassionate care to couples who go forward with their pregnancy and want to go to the end. And we also should be able to offer similar compassionate care to those who don't want to go the whole way.
OK, Caroline, isn't it the case that this is a choice, a terrible choice, that parents have to make?
That is true, but it's also the case, David, and I'm afraid Peter, I have to disagree with you, and your colleagues disagree with you, and there's no doubt about it that the kind of conditions you've just described are listed and described as not lethal. The difficulty here is what we're looking at is a value judgment. Value judgment. I can give you half a dozen papers here that will show you that.
Are you telling me, Caroline, that somebody, a child born with no kidneys or an anencephalic is surviving?
50% of the babies with the kidney thing you've talked about can survive these conditions for a certain period, but not very long, I agree.
20 minutes?
What you're talking about here is, let me put it this way, if you were talking about somebody terminally ill with cancer or an old person about to die, we are allowed to give them palliative care, as much morphine as they need to alleviate their pain, but not to kill them. What Peter is talking about here is giving an injection into the heart of potassium chloride to the baby. Well, if you're not doing that then, Peter, what you're talking about is delivering a baby that may be live and leaving it in a sluice room or a cupboard to die.
Absolutely not. We are
so
offering
what
full...
are you doing exactly
Well, could you let him answer, please?
Yes,
No, well, first of all, it's absolutely ridiculous to say that a child born without kidneys is going to survive, or an anencephalic is going to survive.
Anencephalics have survived.
Well, OK.
For how long?
I have a paper here for 10 months. I can give it to you after.
Probably 1 or 2, Caroline.
Yeah.
Now,
do they deserve any chance?
they should be offered full compassionate care in the arms of the parents, and we do that with extremely premature babies, exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Compassionate care.
I'm terribly sorry, we really do have to go
Thank you,
because we've completely run out of time. That's it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us, and good night.